Forbes, CNN, and all kinds of news outlets have been reporting on what is being called a bombshell leak by an organization called ProPublica about how the 25 richest Americans have paid a true tax rate of 3.4%. We're going to dive into that, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, what's really going on, etc. right coming up. Before we do that, if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button, nail the notification bell. Reach out to us if you have questions about international structuring for yourself or your business, and check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com. I'll mention it more at the end. In the meantime, you can send us a message or you can book a call with me, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, link in the description below. All right, so the other day, big report of this leak about this organization, ProPublica. Don't know who these guys are exactly, but I find it interesting that it's a leak of private information, and there's a lot of talk not being done about, hey, listen, this is confidential documents. So, people are supposedly entitled to a certain degree of privacy. Their IRS filings are supposed to be private, etc. Somebody should probably be getting sued, maybe going to prison, stuff like that. But when you're, going after the rich, you're, a hero to the masses. So, hey, that's that. Second of all, it's interesting because some people are like, oh, whistleblowers are allowed, all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, but it's not whistleblowing when there's nothing illegal that's being done. There's no even allegations that anybody's doing anything wrong. So with that being said, what happened? So the leaks were that they released the tax details of many of the wealthiest Americans, people like Jeff Bezos, who I think had paid an average of what they called, and I'll get into this in a second, true tax rate of 0.98% tax from 2014 to 2018. I think Warren Buffett was at like 0.1%. Elon Musk was somewhat higher, but not significantly so. Anyway, all these people, didn't pay huge taxes. And the headline is really around, they published this idea of a true tax rate based on how a person's net worth had increased as calculated by Forbes. So in other words, over the time from, I think it was 2014 to 2018, Jeff Bezos added like $99 billion of net worth to his, net worth, basically due to Amazon stock going up. And if you calculate the amount of tax he paid as a percentage of that increase, this amount of tax was 0.98% or something. So in other words, you're basically saying he paid about $1 billion in tax from 2014 to 2018. And this is seemingly a bad thing. Now, I find a few things interesting about this. First of all, of course, as we should all know, increasing net worth has very little to do with actual cash income, right? Your net worth can go up massively, but it can go down massively. I remember in 2008, when Sheldon Adelson's net worth crashed from like 34 billion down to 1 billion in a year. It's like, okay, are you going to give them tax refunds for that? By the way, Elizabeth Warren's proposal involves taxing them a certain percentage on net worth and not ever giving refunds. It's just like, hey, listen, we're just going to take a portion of your net worth. And imagine what that would mean, okay? You've built this company for years. You're a great leader of it. The shareholders depend on you, etc. And because your net worth goes up, you have to sell a whole bunch of stock, which, by the way, drives down everybody else's share price. So all the pension funds and whoever who are investing, they get hurt by this. And they sell it off, you sell it off in order to generate cash in order to pay off your tax bill, right? It doesn't really seem like a very fair or good thing to do, because now basically people are taking over your company because it was successful. Like totally contrary to what should be happening, right? Not a good idea. That being said, these are some of the kind of the proposals that people like Elizabeth Warren, etc., are making. Now, let's dive into, so that's what's the real tax rate versus this. Okay, you can play around with that idea. Let's look at the flip side of it, which is, has anyone paid attention to what they contributed versus what they actually got from the country? Imagine, so basically they're arguing Jeff Bezos paid $1 billion in tax over 4 years. What exactly did he use in terms of public services? My guess is it was a lot less than $1 billion. Probably, at best, a few $100,000 worth, at best. So, in other words, his contribution to the country dwarfed what it was he took, probably by I don't know, 5 orders of magnitude, something like that, like dramatically more. Let's say it was only 3 orders of magnitude. So you're contributing 1,000 times more than you're extracting in value. Does that sound unfair? Does that sound problematic? Does that sound concerning with this system? It doesn't make any sense to me at all to argue that this is a problem. And so I think that's something that, like, what's the basic thing ethically that a person should try to do? They should probably try to contribute more than they take, right? It's just like a good thing for the world. You should leave the world better than you found it. However, when you're contributing 1,000 times more than you are taking, does it make sense that people would complain about this? Because rest assured, this is all part of a tax the rich narrative story to put out there saying, oh, you know, these people are not paying their fair share. Well, you know, is your fair share to pay 1,000 times more for the services you use than the other person, who, by the way, may actually pay less for those services than they take? I don't know. That seems a little bit off to me. That being said, this is the world that we live in, so I figured I would give you kind of a brief little commentary. I think it's terrible that A, it's just somehow acceptable that you can release people's tax returns into the public domain and not face consequences. That basically should be a crime. There should be like some sort of restriction on that because it's supposed to be private government data. Number 2, of course, the representation of how much tax people paid is outrageous, and the whole thought process around it makes 0 sense. This being said, you know, again, that's the way that we're in. And don't get me wrong, there's massive tax reform that they could do, and it's probably needed, but the way that they're taking it is really not good. So if you would like help with those things, with paying lower tax, with, you know, setting your business up to be more optimized, setting yourself up to be more optimized, with relocating, maybe you don't like that, you'd like to get a second passport, you'd like to get a second residency somewhere, you'd like to form some banking or offshore companies, etc., please reach out to me. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, link in the description below. Send us a message through our websites, offshorecitizen.net or offshorecapitalist.com. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.